Happy Monday, everyone. This morning, we're going to have a conversation about one of the areas that you might feel blocked when it comes to money and wealth, and that is credit. I have a guest with me this morning, and we're going to dive deep into this conversation because we could do all the right things. And I know how frustrating it can feel to have a story for you. But we can do all the right things. We could be, chugging along in our business, doing all the strategy, the implementing, the working hard, the spiritual side. We're doing all our meditation, all the right things. And then we get to this point where there's this one thing that keeps us limited that sometimes feels a little bit like it's outside of our control, and that's our credit. I want us to have an empowering conversation this morning. So I have brought someone on that helped me personally repair my credit when I got myself in a fun little jam. So welcome to the Wealthy Me podcast. My name is Tasha, and every week we have conversations about guiding you into your Wealthy Me era, where wealth is really all about having more fun, more joy, more ease, and yes, more financial abundance. All right, now that you're all here, give some love to each other. I want to introduce my guest, Angela Kim. Hey, Angela, you want to say hi to everyone?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Kim. I am representing Credit Repair Boss. It's a pleasure to be here today.
All right, so let me tell you before we dive all the way in with Angela, I just want to tell you my situation I found myself in a few years ago. Many of you know my story, and in my prior business, I found myself in a situation where the only way that I could exit was through filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And so no sooner did I, decide that that's what we were going to do. I was married at the time. Then I realized, oh, now I'm getting divorced and my husband and his income are gone. I have no income, and I also have no access to credit. And it was really one of the most frightening experiences of my life, because we live in a country where your credit report, your credit score is probably like a lifeblood, just as important as your social security number, I believe, right? And so when you find yourself in this situation where you cannot access funds, I needed to bridge the gap. I needed to start a new business. I needed all of these resources that were just no longer available to me. And it was very frightening. I made a decision. I would never be in that position ever again in my life. And so as I started doing all the right things, it takes you 7 years for it to get off your credit report. I did all the right things, started this business, and kept my word, did everything right. And then 2 years ago, my husband and I purchased this house, and in the process, the loans get sold. They get sold from one bank to another. And somewhere in there was a holding company that literally only held the mortgage for 30 days. That's it. They held the mortgage in between one bank selling it and the other one taking it over. And so the new bank takes it over. I'm paying on time. I'm doing all the right things. But guess what? That holding company would not take the mortgage off of my credit, my husband and my credit reports. Our credit tanked 50 points overnight, just like that. And so, this is like a little trauma wound for me, because now I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm doing everything right. We called them, we wrote letters. Literally pretty much gave blood, and they just nothing. Enter Angela. I had actually met Angela a couple months before at an event in New York, and heard what she was doing. And at the time I was like, oh, that's not really a service that I need, because I have decent credit. I'm doing all the right things. Fast forward, I'm in this situation, and I called her with an SOS. And I just want to shorten the story by saying her and her team took over. Literally, we sent our mortgage paperwork. We sent proof that we had emailed and called. That was it. I still don't even know what they did. It got as far as legal things being involved. All I know is that mortgage, just imagine 2 mortgages on your credit report for large amounts of money, and your credit is now like 50 points less. For me, it was life-saving, because I saw myself back in that situation from 12 years ago, where it's like, wow, if I need business credit right now, I'm kind of screwed. If I want to refinance, I'm screwed. Like all of these things became null and void for me just because of that one thing. And so I don't know what situation you're all in. What I do know is every one of us, the one thing we want to be sure is not limiting us in any way is our credit score. So I'm going to invite Angela. We're going to talk about again, it might be credit repair, but it might also be you have a situation that you just have not been able to resolve. And I know that they can help you. So Angela, tell us a little bit about you and some of the things that you do to help people restore business and personal credit.
Thank you for being open, Tasha, this morning and sharing about your story. It was such a pleasure to be able to help you with such a small discrepancy causing a lot of trickling effects on your credit, on your personal side, as well as business side. So I'm glad we're able to clear all of that out pretty quickly. So my name is Angela Kim. I am one of the founding members and senior credit representative at Credit Repair Boss. So what do? I help individuals and businesses with any type of credit problem. So typically when people think of the word credit repair, they associate individuals who's in great financial hardship, but that may not be the only type of clientele we're able to assist. Of course, we could help clients who have late payments, collections, judgments, or liens, or post-bankruptcy to help them out, but also clients who's just really in the position to help themselves out coming out of a divorce per se, or any kind of financial situation, or if you are a victim of identity theft, or even if you're a victim like Tasha, where you just had a valid mortgage and the servicer changed on you once or twice and it's showing up on your credit multiple times as if you owe that much of a mortgage several times. So we're able to help when it comes to the word credit. Probably we're able to provide a solution for any situation, and we're not limited to just one state. We're able to assist clients all over.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting. I'm really happy you said that because, again, when I met you, my thought was my credit is decent, don't really need this service. But I think one of the things that was frustrating for me was like, I'm doing everything right. Actually, not only is my credit decent, but why isn't it higher? Like, what can I do to get it to be higher? And I just didn't understand all of the dynamics, So I think, again, it is something that's been on your credit. You can't get it off. You've tried. Maybe your credit score is decent, but you want it to be higher. Maybe you do have things in your credit history that really you just need some outside support to get it resolved, or you've had identity theft. I mean, there's so many things that might be affecting your credit score. And the number one thing is, how is it limiting you?
Right.
I know there are people who have come into my world, and my first thought is, look, you are a business. Instead of paying me personally, get business credit, right? And I will send them off to our funding partner, and then it will be, well, my credit score won't allow me, because I truly believe, especially if you're investing, the investment in yourself is a business expense, right? For you, you're a business owner, so it should be paid for with business credit. And it breaks my heart to see that sometimes, my clients are just not able to get access to that because of things in the past with their credit, and not being able to get the support that they need to change that around. And also, one of the things that I've learned on this journey is the importance of building business credit. So can you talk a little bit about that for all of us that are in business and we're so focused on our personal credit, because that's the world we live in. Yes. And no one's ever really having the conversation about, as soon as you start your business, you should be applying for a business credit card, right? You need to build business credit. So what are some of the things to consider with that?
Right. That's an often asked question. Angela, I have decent credit on the personal end. Can you help me with obtaining a lot of business credit? So my question to clients like that is, may I see your credit report? A lot of the times people have a misconception or misunderstanding of their credit score. But guess what? The credit score you see on American Express or with Chase Bank app, whatever banking app you use, they want to have you and have you as a happy client and give you a credit score. That's not the number that the banker is going to look at when they're trying to give you business credit. So first, let's take a look at your personal credit report to make sure that 680 you're seeing is a true 680 when you're trying to apply and obtain a 5-figure or 6-figure business credit. Number two, what types of personal credit do you have? Because let's go backwards a little bit. If your biggest credit card on your personal happens to be only 5,000, probably would be a little difficult for you to get a $80,000 business credit card just like right away. Because I always like to use this analogy. If you want to dormer a house, let's say you have a tiny little ranch, you only got 1,000 square feet. And what if you want to dormer into a beautiful large home and you want to put 4,000 story on the second floor? Can you do that right away? Probably not. If your personal credit has only an average of $5,000 worth of credit, difficult to jump into an $80,000 credit line unless you have 7-8 figures to show on your account receivables and your business statements. So we're able to coach you depending on your personal credit situation as to how long it's going to take and how much worth of business credit you could potentially obtain after working on your personal credit. Let's say your personal credit is great already, then we can probably just give you right guidance and you can pretty much get business credit almost right away. So it really depends on how strong or maybe how bad of a shape your credit might be in at the present moment.
And so that's interesting because I never heard that before. Looking at the makeup of your personal credit. So it's not just what's your credit score, because what if you have decent credit, but it's because you have a $5,000 limit on one of your cards, right? So the process of starting to position yourself to get business credit. And one of the things that I learned from doing this, and we have a funding partner, is I've learned in the process too that that your business credit does not show up on your personal credit.
Correct. If it's done the right way. Yeah.
If it's what?
If it's done the right way, it doesn't show. Exactly.
If it's done the right way, but you need your personal credit to get started.
Exactly. So typically, if you have Capital One, for example, one of those Green Sparks card, that would always populate onto your personal credit report. So that's not the type of business credit that you should be pursuing for. You need to be selective as to what types of business credit you will obtain. A lot of people think, oh, business credit card, this is great. It will help me with your business. It is true, but not if that $10,000 monthly expense is consistently showing up on your personal credit report. So I always tell clients, maybe shy away from TD Bank or Capital One Bank if you don't want that extra worth of 10,000 of rolling every month to show up on the credit report. So we pick and choose as to guiding you with that step. And definitely once you are able to fix credit with us, definitely Tasha will be able to introduce you to the funding partner to obtain business credit right away. But it's typically really hard if you only have average of $1,000 Capital One card, $1,000 American Express. It's hard to jump into a 6-7 figure business credit right away. So probably in that scenario, the case should be to strengthen up, repair, and build up your personal credit as a whole first. That way you can dive into a larger amounts or bigger lines of credit. So step by step, I always tell clients, it's kind of like going to go see a doctor. If you're not feeling well, unfortunately, we are all professional Googlers, right? We Google our problems. We use AI now for everything, but you probably should see a professional when you're not feeling well, right? So after you get a diagnosis, only then you could be put on a treatment plan that's going to heal you, not to heal your cousin Jen's issues, right? So that's why you have to see the report, and that's what we offer, free consultation. Moment I see your report, I can explain to you, here are your weaknesses. Here's what we could do in order to get you to the next step of business credit. Maybe we should repair your personal credit, touch up some of the repossessions on your credit report, or late payments, or collections, or judgments, whatever the case might be.
And I think too, something that's popping up is, if you're just living life, so you've gone through this phase where your credit score mattered, right? You needed it to get a mortgage, you needed it to get a credit card, but you're settled in your home 5-10 years, you have your credit card. It is what it is. You use it, don't use it, pay it off. You've not really had a need for credit for some time. So these are things that you're not really paying attention to. And I think the thing that I want every woman hearing from us this morning, if you have a business, you must, it is mandatory. Rule number one, what do wealthy people do? They are not using their personal funds. They are not using their personal credit. They're just not. They're not. This is why the system is what it is so that we can get access to business labeled funds for our businesses. It becomes a write-off. We have all these perks. The benefits far outweigh multiple percentages outweigh anything you will do personally. So step number one, and why I wanted us to have this conversation, like January is all about setting us up this year for being positioned properly to channel wealth. One of the things I think is priority A, if you are still using your personal funds for things that are business related, let's switch that up. Priority A, let's get established whatever we need to do on the personal side so we are positioned to leverage capital, business funds. Your business should have business money, period. End of story.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if there's anyone here this morning that you might have any questions. While Angela's on, we got a couple more minutes, but I do want to encourage everyone, and I'm going to put Angela's QR code up on the screen right now. This is her gift to all of you. So take a picture, scan the QR code, and you can book some time to have a personal one-on-one conversation with her. She does a free consultation, and she'll be able to assess your situation, whatever it might be, and give you some guidance as to the next steps, right? How do we start to position ourselves? So make sure you do that. Another way that you can get in touch with Angela is to go to her website, creditrepairboss.com. So you could go ahead and write that down, creditrepairboss.com. And I am also going to do you all a beautiful favor, and I'm going to drop Angela's calendar link just in case you couldn't get to the QR code. I'm going to drop her link in the chat right now. So here we go. And yeah, there we go. You should be able to click the link in the comments as well and book some time with her. But in the meantime, any questions? And while we're waiting for that, Angela, can you share any stories from your client experience that might be relevant, for somebody? Because sometimes I think we'll be listening to this conversation and like me, I was guilty of this. It doesn't apply, can't help me. I'm good with my credit right now. But some client experience you might have where it's like, have you thought about it like this though? Because this is something I was able to do for one of my clients that you might be able to share with us.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, personal credit is a foundation for building business credit. And I always tell clients it's all about structuring. If your personal credit is A1, then you can build a lot of different sources of business credit under your personal profile. However, in order to do that, you got to make sure your personal credit is good. So who doesn't love a story time, right? I had a client where by profession, she's a nurse. She's been in the industry for 20 plus years, very well established. And she told me, my credit is not bad. It's just decent overall, but I'm actually looking to take out a home equity line against my credit and I got declined. Can you help me out? So she came to my office. I looked at her credit and her credit was just all right, not so bad, but there was a big issue on her credit. Verizon collection account. So a lot of us have some kind of phone service, right? And she took out a new line for her son. Something happened with the iPhone and it wasn't covered with the insurance. And she was stuck with a $2,500 bill. Probably it was an expensive phone as well as quite many months of service that was unpaid. So that was one of the big things that was sitting on the credit report that she didn't even notice.
Wow.
And guess what? We were able to catch it because she only checked her credit on Credit Karma, We all love Credit Karma.
Yeah, we love Credit Karma.
People see it on TV all the time. It's all about branding. They have the 7, 8 figures to put national TV ads, but they don't tell you that they don't give you the Experian report. So that Verizon collection was only on Experian report. So she could, for the longest time, never figure out why her credit was just decent, not excellent. So we were able to get that off of her credit report. And even a better news, we were able to actually refinance her Mercedes-Benz into a loan that was $200 cheaper after we repaired
Wow.
just in 2.5 months. So not only is she able to get a much cheaper payment on her car, the Verizon bill's gone. So the main objective as to why she came to seek me out was getting a home equity line of credit. She got approved for a $250,000 line of credit
Wow.
at a great rate. So
Wow.
it hurts to actually check where you stand on
Yeah.
all 3 bureaus and get a fresh outlook from the outsider's perspective, from a professional, what your issue might be that you may not even be realizing.
I am so grateful you said that. That was something else I forgot, because I do have Credit Karma, and 2 things. So I have Credit Karma. I did not know, I didn't even notice that they only report on 2 of the credit bureaus, right?
Yes.
So then I was like, okay, somebody else's a question just popped up, but I didn't realize until I met you and you pointed that out. And then, like you said, Experian, that was the one we ended up, you ended up helping me get legal action with, because the other 2, after you worked with them, removed the second mortgage, but then Experian wouldn't. So now we thought, yeah, we solved the problem. It's off my credit report, because on Credit Karma, I only see the 2 bureaus, but it was still on Experian, which I would have never known had I not been working with you. And then, so my score was still affected over there. And they were taking their time removing it. So I had to get your support actually to go even further with them. And thank God it's now resolved. And then the other thing, my husband and I, we have Wells Fargo, and we love logging into our Wells Fargo and seeing one day I was like, my score is 860. And he was like, I thought credit scores only go up to 850. How are you getting 860? And I was like, I don't know, but that's my score. Wells Fargo. And here I was like, I beat the system. I have a score that's even greater than the max. Only to find out nobody is going to give me credit on my Wells Fargo number that's showing up, right? So yeah, that is something so interesting. It's like, make sure that the source that you are using for your credit information is actually really accurate. Okay, so here's a question. Angela, is there a company that you recommend that will give us all 3 reports?
Absolutely. We typically like to look at all 3 bureaus with the reasons that we just discussed. And a lot of people do overpay on credit reports. So if you go on Experian.com or Equifax, they typically charge about $30 or $40, depending on what type of credit score you're trying to obtain. So we like to recommend Identity IQ. It's cheaper, $20 to pull all 3 bureau report. And usually I like to have an initial conversation with a person first, and I can email you the link for you to pull your credit report, or I'm more than happy to have my assistant give you a ring in order to get the report for you. But typically Identity IQ we highly recommend, because it's accurate and it's not as expensive, and you get to see everything at once.
Okay. And not sure if you heard, she really prefers to have a conversation with you first, because they can give you a link and be able to just pull your report before you go pay for it, do all that, like figure out where you stand, right? Yeah, Tanya says, yep, this is me. I really need to work on building my credit. All right. Well, Angela, anything else? Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. Oh, Tanya says, is it good to pay off the debts on your report?
Yes, it is, but it depends on the type of debt. If it's a negative derogatory debt where it's already charged off or in collections, it's better to speak with a professional first as to paying off your Macy's credit card that you may have used during Christmas season. So there's good debt, but there's also negative debt. So it really depends on what type of debt you're talking about. And sometimes people are not aware that statute of limitation, like how long a negative debt stays on the report, is depending on the type of debt. So there are certain debt that we pick and choose. So yeah, I would like to have a conversation with you first, if possible, to help you navigate it the right way. Because if you have a $10,000 credit card and multiple different little debt, probably better for you to use your funds in order to tackle as many debt as possible instead of doing one large chunky debt. So we can help you with creating a game plan to come out of debt a lot quicker and also efficiently.
Ooh, I love that. All right, so I'm going to put the QR code back up so you can all scan. Make sure you take Angela up on the opportunity to book a call. I'm also going to show the website again. So creditrepairboss.com. The QR code gets right to Angela's calendar, right? So if you know you're like, I just need to talk to her, I really need some support with this, then go ahead and do that. But here's what I want to leave everyone with. This is priority A. Wealthy people have access to a lot of credit. I don't know about you, but one of the things that makes me feel the wealthiest sometimes is not even the money in the bank. It's knowing how much money people are willing to give me. Like, I love that. I love, 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 love other people's money. And I love knowing that I have access to a lot of it at any given moment. That is wealth. That really is wealth. And so this year, priority A, let's get our credit where we need it to be so we can access funds. All right. Any last words, Angela? And then I'll let you go.
I definitely agree with you, Tasha. Actually, my tagline is credit is wealth, because I always tell people, even if you have 5 figures sitting in the bank every day, that's just your limit to capital as to what you could use or purchase with that cash in hand. But if you have great credit, like Tasha mentioned, how nice does it feel when you know that a bank is willing to give you 7 figures or 8 figures worth of lines of credit or whatever lending you're seeking? That is power of credit. So the better the credit, the more access to capital, and really having great credit is wealth itself. So it was such a pleasure being here today, and thank you for having me. I would love to be a resource to help more ladies out. It's all about really helping one another, and credit is so underrated, and it's not spoken for in our society and also in our education system. So we'd love to be a resource to all of you.
Yes. And can I just say lastly, and we don't talk about it enough. Like, we have a lot of, so Karen, I'm putting the QR code back up for you, so hopefully you can scan it. But I think, for me, I felt so much shame. Our credit score is such a big part. It's a real part of our lives. And if we feel like, or we've been told, or we've been in a situation where it's less than stellar, now we're not talking about it, right? We're shamed and we're hiding. And it's like I told one of my clients this week, go to the bank, have the conversation. It is better for you to know where you stand so you can put a game plan in place than to sit and hide in shame when that might not even be the reality. You might not be limited, and more so because you're not having the conversation. You are not putting a plan in place to resolve whatever might be happening, right? So take your power back. This is just a number, and we can fix it and get it to be a better number, but let's take the step to do that. All right, everyone is giving you lots of things in the chat. I personally thank you for having this amazing conversation this morning. Angela, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope lots of people give you a call.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a great Monday. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Bye.